This video is sponsored by Skillshare.
Hello, and welcome to another one of these videos. So, as many of you know, a lot of my fantasy nonsense clothing designs are inspired by basically just nature. I go out in the woods and I see things and I'm like, well, that's it. Gotta have that on my body now. And sometimes, you know, whenever I'm feeling particularly overwhelmed, I have to scratch that itch basically all at once. And since nature is cyclical, I end up doing this on basically a seasonal basis. Like I'm freaking Vivienne Westwood on shrooms or something like that. Normally I have that I want to make in the title because a lot of these I design with the intention of making them. For the most part, whenever I make a video like this, I'm just coming up with a bunch of different designs and throwing them at the wall like a piece of al dente pasta and just seeing what sticks. Some of them I will probably end up making and some of them I won't, but I would like to hear which ones speak to you the most in the comments below, because if I'm peer pressured enough into making something, I will probably make it. So what's on the menu today? Well, the usual suspects, cottagecore, probably me just like sticking armor where it doesn't belong. I personally also tend to dress a little bit different in my everyday life than I do whenever I'm on the channel, and my personal style tends to run a little bit more like gothic, punk, even a little bit vampiric. So if I'm making some of these, I do want to integrate aspects of my personal style into these designs so that they're like a little bit more wearable, because sometimes I make things and then it's just like, I could wear this to the Walmart, but I just would look like a crazy person, and I have, and people look at me weird, and I don't like people to perceive me. I'm also going to be playing with, you know, whimsigoth, goblin core, maybe a little bit of bog witch core, you know, darker aesthetics. Along with, you know, the usual, like, take a bug and just wear it on your body. I mean, anyways, we're going to be getting into the designing process in just a moment. But first, if you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you've probably noticed that I'm not the most organized or plan-oriented person. Now, I have some pretty big projects planned that I want to do in the next couple of months, which is why I've been checking out Andy J. Pizza's class, great name by the way, Make Creativity Your Career, 6 Exercises to Create a Successful Side Project, which as always is available through this video sponsor, Skillshare. In the internet spaces, Skillshare is normally known for your typical hobby subjects, photography, videography, or painting, but Skillshare also has a huge catalog of classes that can help you break into your dream career. Moving in that direction can be really intimidating, but sometimes it's just about baby steps, you know, starting small and actually planning. That was directed at me. Maybe you want to learn productivity tips so that you have more time for yourself. Perhaps you want to establish a daily sketchbook habit. Or maybe you want to learn how to sew so you too can make whatever nonsense your heart desires. Whatever it is, teachers like Andy J. Pizza can walk you through the process step by step. I can't get over the name. Is Pizza your real last name? I have to know. In this class, Andy walks you through a few exercises to create a side project that will help you generate momentum towards your ultimate career goals. Exercises include asking yourself simple questions like, who am I? But not so much in the existential sense, but more so in identifying your niche, who your audience is, and what you can uniquely bring to the table. From there, you can use facets of your creative identity to create a project that mirrors your main goal. Some of my goals this year are to continue establishing my niche and create a cohesive identity across my illustration work and my costuming content. This class has been pretty useful for helping me to decide which projects to work on in the near future and how to go about completing them. Traditional jobs are not a one-size-fits-all, but with classes like Andy's, Skillshare can help you design a career that fits you. So if you would like to check out Andy's class or any of the other wonderful classes on Skillshare, you can do so for free, because the first 1,000 people to join using my link in the description will get a free 1-month trial of Skillshare. Thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this week's nonsense. Now let's get started. Okay, first up we have some designs that I feel are very much quintessentially spring-summer fits. First of all, friends, I ask you, what is more springtime vibes than a cherry blossom? I feel like cherry blossoms blooming and just blossoms blooming in general are the first sign that the world is coming alive again after the cruel deadness of winter. It's kind of the first signs of spring. It's when I awaken from my dormant state. I don't know what time blossoms happen for you guys, but I live in a very warm climate, so for me it happened around the end of February, so I'm a little bit removed from this at this point. Like here it's practically already summer.
skirt, but I thought of it. I thought it was so cute, so I had to go for it. So honestly, I kind of went for my usual for this design, a bustier bodice with like super puffed sleeves, but I thought that would give me the perfect opportunity to utilize that like cherry blossom shape on the sleeves and then have some petals coming up, little filaments coming out of the bottom. I think it would be super cute to have that same kind of layered petal shape repeat on the bust and then lace down the center. And I love putting boning in things that I do. I love a structured garment, so I think it would be really cute to have the boning channels actually look kind of like the branches of a cherry blossom tree. I am a huge fan of this one. I would love to make it. I think that it would be so cute in like some kind of a dyed satin if I could figure out how to dye that sort of gradient onto it. I think it would be really fun to experiment with that, kind of also to bring me out of the realm of using acrylic paint on literally everything. I think this would also be adorable adapted into a dress, maybe with a circle skirt on the bottom, or even if you wanted to like crop it so that it's an empire waistline and do like a puffy, silky style circle skirt. I think that would also be absolutely adorable. Not really my style, but for one of you, I feel like that needs to happen. And if it did, it could also look like this. Bam, I also did the design work for you. You're very welcome. And next, I really don't think we're over mushrooms, you know, just as a culture. I certainly am not. So whenever I was scrolling on Pinterest and I saw blouses that looked like this, I was like, that's absolutely adorable. Love that. But what if it looked more like a mushroom? I love using big, bold shapes in my design. So having like big puffy mushroom sleeves that are long too to sort of like give the shape of the mushroom stem. I was like, yes, perfect. This also works for more like my muted color kind of friends who don't want like bright pink or orange. You just want like the natural earth tones. I think the sleeves also help it to kind of fall under that category of whimsigoth. And paired with that is yet another mushroom skirt, because as much as I love the mushroom skirt that I made, I think the design is super cute. It doesn't so much go with the aesthetic that I'm going for these days. Last year, my aesthetic was a lot more cutesy, and these days I tend to gravitate towards edgier kind of outfits. So still whimsical, but slightly edgier silhouettes. So I think the same general idea would be really cute, but like a tighter fitting ruched mushroom skirt I think would work better for what I'm going for right now. And I've been talking for too long, but last but not least, we have a lightning bug bodice, which I think is such a cute idea. I haven't seen like lightning bugs, June bugs get their due attention yet in the whimsical spaces, and I think that they are one of the most whimsical things. They're literally the embodiment of like, Kira, go design a weird blouse that has like LEDs in it. If I put LEDs in this, it would be an accurate depiction of this bug, and I love that. And I would put LEDs in this if I'm being completely honest. Anyways, just imagine this with like layers of organza, maybe some LEDs, maybe mix some textures and have like a leather for the darker bits. Ooh, fun. I also added a pair of embroidered shorts with little stars on them because I feel like that's very on brand. And honestly, in conclusion for this batch, I love all of these outfits and I would love to make them. Please peer pressure me into making these. I need them in my life. Next, we have a quick collection of summer blouses and vests to accessorize. This is another set of designs that I absolutely love. Someone please stop me from making all of these. First, we have an idea that I think is super cute. I would love to make this. I think that this would be a great way to accessorize for me because I'm very into this sort of edgy fashions, but whimsical edgy. So this is a fern harness. Was I compelled to make this because of The Last of Us? Yes, I was. I was literally listening to a Troy Baker interview whenever I was drawing it, and I was like, well, this is perfect for me. It needs to happen. I think this would be such a fun, cute way to spice up a more casual outfit and make it a little bit more whimsical. I also think that this concept could be used in a variety of different ways. Basically, anything you can imagine, if you can get your hands on some applique or embroider it yourself and just stitch it onto a harness that you've made, you're golden. I think this would also be a great opportunity for like crochet. I don't know how to crochet yet, but I'm sure some of you do. I think you could definitely adapt this into like a crochet vest pattern or something like that. Adorable. I love it. I need to make it. Something else that I just really need in my life, and hey, maybe you guys thought I was kidding whenever I said just like take a bug and wear it on your body. I wasn't kidding. We have a little beetle bra or beetle crop top. I don't know what else to call it, but I think it's very trendy for the like whimsigoth cottagecore nature appreciating spaces. The design and coloration is inspired by this patch and also just like general halter top kind of Y2K fashion. I gave it some very flowy cape sleeves just to modernize it a little bit. This would be a painstaking process, but if I were to make this, I think it would be adorable as like an embroidered like beaded project. That way you actually get some of that sparkle in there. A simpler way to make this would maybe be like painted denim, maybe like thrift flip a pair of jeans or something like that. Anyways, lastly, we also have a dragonfly vest, which I also think is very, very cute. I think that some kind of multicolored dimensional organza would be perfect for something like this, or like maybe one of those mermaid fabrics. I actually have some leftover mermaid fabric from a previous project, and I might just have enough to make this. Maybe mix that with a little embroidery for like the veins in the wings and the body of the dragonfly. Another perhaps kind of time-consuming project, but I think it would look so good. This piece could also be more transparent to wear it as a vest, or you could even make it solid and wear it as like another halter top. I think layerable items are so versatile for a wardrobe because then it's like all seasons. You don't have to keep it to just summer or winter. You can just wear it whenever. And then if you really like a piece, you don't have to like say goodbye to it for half the year because it's too hot out or too cold out. You can just wear it. It's great. Okay, moving on. Next up, we just have some dresses inspired by Moths. I was on a premiere with you guys a couple of weeks ago, and I was asking in chat, like, what kind of designs do you want to see on the channel in the future? And overwhelmingly, everyone was just spamming like moth, moth, moth in the chat. I was like, okay, I need to design some moth stuff apparently. I love moths. I think they're so pretty. I have a tattoo of a moth, and I still feel the need to wear moth-inspired clothing on my body. I think that currently I gravitate the most towards the Luna moth. I've designed characters inspired by the Luna moth. I think the coloration is just so pretty and elegant and elvish looking. And when everyone was spamming in chat, you need to make a moth thing, a Luna moth inspired like selkie style dress, something that's super romantic, is the first thing that popped into my head. And I was like, well, that's it. I've got to have that. And immediately the next day I went out and I purchased some fabric for either like a Luna moth inspired silky dress or maybe like a moth cloak. I also really want to make one of those. But the thing is, I still haven't completely settled on a design. So in this episode, I obviously draw a lot of inspiration from Luna moths in a couple of different places. I actually had to show a great deal of restraint and not design like 5 different Luna moth inspired things. So as I've been brainstorming here, I was like, you know, since Luna moths are so elegant, I kind of want to move towards something a little bit flowier, more elvish inspired rather than the modern trendy like silky dress looking garment. So that's kind of what I'm brainstorming here. The coloration here ended up being a little bit more inspired by a Spanish moon moth, but it's still the same general vibe. I'm just trying to feel out a good design for this because this is almost certainly something that I do want to make, but I kind of want to make this a full costume. I kind of even want to go as far as to make something that's like a full porcelain corset style like armor set, maybe with even like cloak and weapons, something way over the top and entirely too much, but that would be like a long-term project. So if I were to do that, I would need to like commit and design something that's like a full thing, not an impulse project. That was a lot about the Luna moth, but here I also designed a little like shawl dress inspired by an Isis moon moth, which I think is also super cute. Maybe not entirely my style, it's a little bit more bohemian than what I usually go for. And then I also designed a little like jumpsuit play suit inspired by a Madagascar comet moth, which is a little bit more my speed. It's like hella 70s. It's so cute. If I could figure out the fabric situation for this, I think that that would be really fun to make. Okay, next up we have a complete mixed bag of summer and winter looks also inspired by bugs. Apparently it's the season of the bug. Okay, so first up I have another like dragonfly inspired top and bottom set. The bottoms are a little bit more inspired by like just vaguely moth butterflies in general, but the dragonfly top is more or less very similar to the vest I designed, but this I kind of have in mind for it to be like purely summer wear and maybe even like a whimsical swimsuit. I actually think that this would be so adorable as a swimsuit, especially like a one-piece swimsuit, maybe something more along the lines of this. It seems to me that these cutouts are super trendy right now, and I do like the fact that whatever arrangement of shapes that you have in this swimsuit has the ability to flatter a variety of body types, and also if you just don't want like a certain area of your stomach exposed, you can cover it up, you can do whatever. It makes you feel more comfortable. I love that. How would I go about making something like this? I have no idea. I've never used like a swimsuit material before. I don't know if they make something that would allow me to like color it or dye it or anything like that. I have no idea. But in theory, in concept, I think it's very cute. Alternatively, if making this into a swimsuit isn't really possible, perhaps like some kind of cover up. If your swimsuit itself is kind of basic and you're like, I need it to be more whimsical, you can make like a little dragonfly or butterfly or moth cover up and be cute whenever you're not in the water. Because when you're in the water, who's gonna see you? Sharks? Only sharks are gonna see you. I also have a little tank top skirt set inspired by the Granny's Cloak Moth. I like the tank top a little bit less. I think that I would probably redesign it if I were to actually make this set. Also, don't think that I would even wear it as a set. It's a little bit too samey, but I would 100% wear the skirt. I think the skirt is adorable in concept. I think it would be awesome as like a wrap skirt, actually. The main hurdle, of course, would be figuring out how to dye it. I always gravitate towards acrylic paint, and I know I need to stop doing that if I'm gonna make wearable garments. So I think that actually like tie-dye of some sort would be an interesting way to get this look. How you would go about doing that and tying it, I don't know, but I'm sure that there is someone smart enough out there to figure it out. Maybe they've already figured it out. Anyways, last design here is all the way over in winter or fall. It's just a little rosy maple moth coat. I think it's so cute. Oh my gosh, it's adorable. This probably falls towards the less wearable end. This falls towards the end of like, you know, how brave are you? Are you comfortable with people asking you the question, oh my god, I love your costume, what is it? When you're just wearing your everyday clothes. That being said, I feel like 90s fashion, 90s mall goth had like big old long dusters with poofy colors and poofy sleeves as like a staple of the fashion style, and this isn't that far off from that. Especially if you were to do a moth with like darker colors, but this general design. I mean, the possibilities are really endless. Pick a moth, wear it on your body, that's all I'm saying. So this is a moth fan account because up next we got some moth dresses. This first one is inspired by a Cecropia moth. I basically saw this dress and I loved the silhouette of it, and I thought that it would translate really well into like a little moth design. I think that this is another one that you could apply almost any type of moth to and make a really cute dress. Again, the main issue would be coloration and trying to get this print. I think even like custom printing fabric would be a little bit difficult just because the pattern would be so irregular. I don't know how you would even go about doing that. Honestly, if it were me, I would grab an airbrush and just go to town. It's probably not the ideal way to do things, but that is what I personally know. But next, a slight deviation from moths. I absolutely love the concept of this. A dramatic, whimsical, over-the-top wisteria housecoat. I don't know what else to call it. This is another case of me going on Pinterest and seeing a garment that was just so pretty, and my brain filled in the blanks, and I was like, okay, that's adorable, but consider wisteria instead. Another garment that it's like, I don't know how you would go about making this. I have my methods, which are, you know, cursed and wrong. I think that you could do some interesting things if you've got a colored lace. I think if you know how to crochet, this would be a doable project that would probably take your entire life. But if it was me, I think I would also consider just like getting some fake purple wisteria off the internet and sewing it to a garment that I make. That's probably like not the best method for this because I feel like this garment has the potential to like feel very good. I think that getting some purple lace or some kind of really textured purple fabric and sewing a bunch of them to look like wisteria would probably be the best option. I feel like I could do this somewhat inexpensively if I found like a heck ton of lace at the thrift store and I had like a lot of hours and a lot of synthetic dye. Here I also have a slightly more Selkie inspired version of a Luna Moth dress, something that's a little bit more cutesy, more casual, and I think this one is also really adorable, but this is a design that I'm still not entirely happy with. I feel like I need to refine it more and figure out a way to instill like the actual poofiness and romanticization of a Selkie dress while maintaining the shapes of a Luna Moth. You know what I mean? I think that this one would, however, be much easier to make because you could just actually use more traditional dyeing methods. I think a gradient would be difficult, especially difficult to get even, but if you pre-cut your pattern pieces and kind of went slowly, I think that you could do it pretty well. Since the actual little purple designs on this moth are a lot smaller and more subtle, I also feel like you could potentially like dye those in if you found a way to keep it from bleeding. I don't know, I'm sure that there's a more reliable method to make something like this. Next, we have a fun set of garments that have absolutely nothing in common. Firstly, as many of you know, I have recently taken a liking to porcelain corsets, or in general just like armor style corsets. I think they're absolutely beautiful. I think they have so much creative potential, and I made one recently and I absolutely love it, but I also feel like it's not necessarily super me. It's incredibly fun to wear, but it still feels more like a costume for a character that is like not me. And as an individual who has a lifelong pursuit to just like be a vampire at all times, I was like, you know, let me design a darker armor set. I think something like this for me would have a lot of wearing potential in the spooky season months. I have a vampire costume that's one of my go-to like secondary costumes for Halloween, and I think this would be really cool to add to that. So obviously the color scheme, instead of blue and gold, I'm thinking I would go for red and gold. And in general, I think I would just go for sharper shapes and also motifs and design elements that look a little bit more Victorian as opposed to like Rococo. And I also think that making the corset a little bit longer, like a Victorian style corset, would also work really well for this look. Just generally change the aesthetic from elven, opulent Rococo vibes to like Victorian vampire. I also have this beautiful red pendant that I got from my late grandmother, and it is one of my most special prized pieces of jewelry, and I think using this as sort of like a aesthetic guide for the design of this would be a really cool way to pay homage to this particular special piece of jewelry that I have. Moving along to something completely unrelated, I have another attempt at the whole mushroom skirt situation, but this time a longer version of the ruched skirt that I showed before. It's essentially the same design. I'm just this time trying to play around with ideas to actually get the like mushroom stem in there. I will say that this is a bold silhouette. It's a little bit akin to like a mermaid skirt, but not quite, because we have like tiered layers in there, which is a little bit out there. But I think with the right fabrics, maybe something a little bit more like crocheted knit but still flowy, like fairy core style fabrics, could potentially help to pull off this design. This also could very much be a just like throw on a couple different layers of white skirts and you've arrived at this look. Might not be something that I would have to make, but you know, this is just a piece of al dente pasta. Okay, now we have a design that I am very, very excited about. Okay, so I cannot tell you how many times in the past year I've put on an outfit and it's been a little chilly out, and I go to my coats and I tend to like silhouettes that are fitted around the waist. So whenever I'm choosing a coat, whatever coat or jacket I pick completely covers out my outfit. The silhouette is broken, it doesn't work. So folks, allow me to introduce you to the Spencer jacket. Spencer jacket is a staple of the Regency period from the early 19th century. It was popular specifically with English and French fashions. The fashionable waistline was cut right below the bust, so all of the jackets also had to be cut right below the bust. And some of the extant examples are just so pretty. This is like absolutely a timeless piece, and you could adapt this for modern wear in so many ways. I truly don't understand why we don't see more cropped jackets, because they're so cute and so practical. So I was like, I'm going to design a peach themed Spencer jacket. Maybe to go with a peach themed dress, I don't know. I feel like peaches are another underappreciated aesthetic fruit. I feel like strawberries kind of stole their thunder a little bit. But like, hear me out. Fruit Spencer jackets. They could be adapted into almost any, especially around fruit. Think of the possibilities. Strawberries, blueberries, pomegranate, tangerines. The production of Hamilton actually made one of their Spencer jacket patterns available for purchase. So you best believe whenever I make some kind of fruit themed Spencer jacket, I'm gonna take this pattern and I'm gonna do terrible things to it and I'm gonna adapt it into a strawberry or something like that. Now we have another little vampiric number, actually a vampiric waistcoat, and this one definitely will be happening at some point because I bought the fabric for it today. I found a nice brocade like table runner or something like that at the thrift store. The fabric I got looks a lot nicer than my depiction of it, but I've been wanting to make some more like Victorian inspired like tailored clothing for a while, and I'm like, I need to start doing that. I keep putting it off because I'm like, well, it sounds hard, but I'm not going to learn if I don't at least attempt. And I find that I absolutely love wearing really well tailored like suit corset style formal garments. I wear a lot of this sort of thing, especially in the fall. So since this design is a sleeveless waistcoat, I could potentially wear it in the summertime, but I think that this would be a nice staple fall item to have around. I also decided not to lean all the way into Victorian styling for the garment, just to keep it a little bit more timeless. I went for a high collar, a laced up front, and a little lace up back detail, just so that it also fits with my fantasy aesthetic clothes, and maybe I could even potentially wear it to a Ren fair. I think it also feels more modern and whimsigoth this way, so I'm all about versatility and making garments in my closet not be just single-use costume items, which I know historically some of the things that I've made are exactly that, but the point is I'm trying to decisively move away from that. Okay, last but not least, it's not a fantasy nonsense garment, but it definitely is a fantasy nonsense item. So I have been slowly working on reinvigorating my space because my room is incredibly stale and I kind of hate it in here. And I've learned that I feel best whenever I'm just surrounded by nature. Recently in a video I said that I'm going to make a tree. That's definitely happening, but I figured that's kind of a big undertaking, so I'll have a bit of a dry run by making a mushroom lamp. I've actually already started this project. It's already proven to be a lot. And is this one of those things that's probably not going to age well in interior decorating terms? I mean, yeah, mushrooms are probably going to be considered chuggy in a couple of years, but trend cycles are stupid and I don't care. I want a forest in my house and I'm gonna have it. Hello, that's it for this video. I'm going to flash the finished designs across the screen. I'll also have them up for free on my Patreon if you want to download them so you have the actual JPEG file if you want to make any of these. But I hope you enjoyed listening to me rant about fantasy nonsense for an undisclosed amount of time. I always really enjoy these videos. I do have to do them in small doses because I feel like I kind of drop a bunch of ideas at once, and if I do that too often I can get a little burned out. But I do feel like I've opened a few cans of worms where I have like a bunch of design and project potential for the next couple of months, which is very exciting. Also a little scary because I'm an impulsive person. Like I said, you are more than welcome to make any of these if your heart desires. You just have to send them to me because your mom doesn't like it whenever you make things that are pretty and you don't show her. I would be so disappointed if I didn't see it. Also, definitely peer pressure me in the comments below into which ones I should make, because I also kind of want to know which videos will perform better. I hate it too, but audience analytics are actually pretty helpful.
And as always, I would like to give a giant thank you to my patrons, especially my executive producers.
Kat, Dodo, Zyel S, Shay Lee, Sable Skies, The Cat Spark, Alwyn Hayes, Thea Maia, Ruled by Pluto, Agent Sketchy, Wolven_Arts, Corvid Dome, Lovisa, Eloquent Silence, In the Galaxy, Cleos, Meeks Hunter, Megan Penland, Sushi McNushi, Satoni, Mel W, Jim Jiminy, India Gloom, Hypnos, Reflings, Katie, Michael Twycross, Sweet Winter Garden, Gravity Drop, Bobo McFo, Will Schmidt, and Bean the Bread. If you would like to become a patron and gain access to exclusive behind-the-scenes content on my videos, the link will be in the description.
My cat just jumped down from a tree and like did a 100-yard dash across my lawn, and it really distracted me for a second there. Chaotic energy from the producer as usual.